Hello everyone, the Gaming Rev here. Welcome to my channel. With this video I am going to introduce you to my Magicka Templar PVP build for the Blackwood patch, which sees a return of proc sets. With this build I take my usual balanced approach, aiming for great damage, great sustain and great survivability, relying on sets that are likely not to suffer any major nerfs in the future. This build does not require any mythic items and it can also be put together by 100% craftable sets. So it's great for beginners too. If you haven't done so just yet, make sure to leave a like and a subscribe. I will soon release a very powerful Templar PVP build that is great for solo gameplay that you do not want to miss. Anyway, without any further ado, let us look at the build. Let's begin with the race. I am a high elf, by far the best race for this class as its passive synergize really well with Magicka Templars. Spell recharge is fantastic for stamina sustain and damage mitigation as your spammable has a cast time. Sirabane Boon offers max Magicka and Elemental Talent gives you a lot of spell damage. Good alternatives to high elves would be dark elves, Khajiits and Bretons. Anything else I think would probably be subpar, possibly with the exception of Argonians. I am a stage 3 vampire. This to access really good skills like Swarming Scion and Elusive Mist, as well as some really good passives like Strike from Shadows for an extra 300 spell damage for 6 seconds, and Undeath for the damage mitigation. You don't have to be a vampire for this build to work though, so keep watching and I'll show you a non-vampiric alternative. For my Mundus stone, I chose the Atronach for better sustain, but you can also go for the Apprentice for better damage or the Mage for a bit of both of sustain and damage. Now let's take a look at my buffed stats. I've got 40k max Magicka, 27k max health and 20k max stamina. If you wanted to increase your health pool more, feel free to move some points from Magicka into health. Magicka recovery is 1400, but to that number you need to add 480 from channeled focus for a total of just over 1800. However, these numbers don't really reflect the high sustainability of this build, as it is far more dynamic, as we're going to be seeing later on in the video. Stamina recovery is also greater than the number displayed, as it doesn't take into consideration the stamina returns of spell recharge, which will help you to block and roll dodge quite a bit. Spell damage is very high considering the flat penetration of 13.5k. The flat penetration can actually be increased to over 17k by using a set and crafted proc set, but we're gonna see that again later on in the video. Spell crit isn't fantastic, it's only 26.4%, and my resistances as well, they may not look fantastic, but they are more than compensated by your ridiculous healing potential, which again we're going to look at in a minute. My consumables are for food. I use purple Tristat. If you're not a vampire, run Bewitched Sugar Skulls for the extra health recovery. For my pots, I run Alliance Spell Draft for Major Sorcery and Major Prophecy. It's cheap, you know, you can buy it with AP, and yeah, they free up a slot on your skills bar. I also use Essence of Detection for detecting Night Blades while still getting Major Sorcery, and also Essence of Invisibility to just make a quick escape when things get too hot. Now let's take a look at my gear, starting with my body set, which is Heartland Conqueror. This is a Blackwood crafted set. It gives you spell damage and 2 lines of max magicka, but it is with the 5th bonus that we see the magic happen, as it increases the effectiveness of your weapon traits by 100%. As we're going to see, on my front bar I run sharpened, while on my back bar I run powered. Because of Heartland Conqueror, my sharpened weapon carries 6552 spell penetration, while my powered Resto's Staff increases my healing done by 18%. This means huge damage on my front bar without having to slot elemental drain, and disgusting healing on my back bar. Take a look at these stats, for example. With this set, I hit 16k Honor the Dead and 28.5k Rapid Regens. This is more than your health bar back in just 5 seconds. The healing potential on this build is absolutely insane. Then on my front bar, well, you've got 2 options. The first one is Spinners, an overland set that grants you 2 lines of max magicka, spell damage and a lot of spell penetration. The second one is a crafted proc set that provides less max magicka but way more spell penetration, and I am of course talking about Stun's Favor. Which one you go for depends entirely on your playstyle. Stun's Favor requires you to damage off-balanced enemies, a requirement that is super easy to meet with your Gap Closer and Hard Stun Toppling Charge. However, this may not work for you if either you do not run Toppling Charge or if you prefer to save it for after you have brought your enemy's health within execute range to guarantee the kill. So it's entirely up to you. Irrespective of what you choose though, it's important that you run a sharpened 2H sword. Sharpened's penetration will be doubled by Heartland's Conqueror, while a 2H sword will not only buff all your damage types, but also increase your spell damage, which is super important on a Magicka Templar as you have access to minor sorcery. On my back bar, I run a Maelstrom Resto's Staff. Now this to help out with my Magicka sustain through the proc. However, this means that you must run Rapid Regen on your back bar. If for whatever reason you didn't have a Maelstrom Resto's Staff or didn't run Rapid Regen, you could instead use an Ice Staff of Willpower for added Magicka, which would buff your heals and give you access to Elemental Drain for even more penetration and sustain. Also, the blocking is much more effective with an Ice Staff than a Resto's Staff. The reason why I run a Resto's Staff rather than an Ice Destro Staff though is simply because it gives me access to Rapid Regen, but also because it helps Magicka sustain massively, as a fully charged heavy Resto attack restores 30% more resources. If the enemy is also off balance, that amount will be even greater. In the rare occasions that I am running out of juice, I just set an enemy off balance with Toppling Charge, heavy attack them with my Resto's Staff, and fill up my Magicka pool almost completely. And then I'm good to go again. For my monster set, I use the Engine Guardian. The first line of health recovery is surely wasted on a vampire, but the proc is super useful in PvP. Not just the added sustain, which you can enjoy even while in mist form, but for the fact that you can position yourself behind a little Dwemer who will take damage instead of you, increasing your survivability. So for my armor I wear 3 heavy pieces, head, chest and legs, 3 light pieces, shoulders, belt and hands, and 1 medium piece, that is boots. I run 1 infused, 3 reinforced and 3 impen traits on my armor. My 3 large pieces are enchanted with tri-stack glyphs, while my 4 smaller pieces with max magicka. My jewelry is all arcane, with 1 spell damage glyph and 2 reduced cost ones. as reduced cost helps sustain far better than Magicka recovery, as I've often discussed in previous videos. My two-edged sword has a weapon damage enchant, while my Resto staff has an absorb Magicka enchant. Now let's take a look at my skills. On my front bar we have a couple of flex spots, starting with Radiant Oppression and Inner Light. These are for a more aggressive playstyle. Now for a more defensive playstyle I would swap one of them for Living Dark. Then we've got Toppling Charge, our Gap Closer and Hardstone, and the skill that we use to set enemies off balance. And we've got Puncturing Sweeps, our spammable, being a cast time, it also activates the 5% damage mitigation of spell recharge. Then we've got Purifying Light. This skill provides you with a great burst, especially if you time it well with your ultimate. Alternatively, you can run Solar Barrage for AoE damage that also exposes Nightblade. No matter what you do though, it is essential that you slot a Dawn's Wrath ability because of the ultimate generation that you get from the passive Prism, and also to activate Minor Sorcery through the passive Illuminate. Then for my ultimate I run Crescent Sweep. It's cheap, it hits hard, and it's AoE with a following dot. It's great to finish people off, and it's almost always available. Another alternative to this ultimate though would be Meteor, although it is far more expensive to cast. On my back bar I run Elusive Mist, which is excellent for movement and repositioning. A must in my opinion, especially on Magicka Templars. But if you are not a vampire, you can run the Sigic skill Race Against Time. Then we've got Honor the Dead, our 16k burst heal when buffed. Extended Ritual for a powerful cleanse and healing over time. Rapid Regen, which is on this build a stronger Magicka version of Vigor. Despite the strength of Honor the Dead, relying on that skill as a main source of healing will often force you to stay on your back bar when pressured. Rapid Regen, on the other hand, enables you to switch back to your front bar while healing you back to full health. This is essential, especially when fighting in an outnumbered situation. The only drawback is that if there are allies nearby, there is a chance that the healing will go to one of them. If you are running in a group, wield an Ice Staff on your back bar and slot Elemental Drain instead. For greater penetration and greater sustain. Then we've got Channeled Focus. Amazing skill that grants you Magicka back even in mist form, as well as major resolve and a nice heal over time. Now all this combined healing enables you not only to mitigate a lot of pressure, but also to just shower on the burning oils while operating a ram during siege. So if you're gonna play this this build in Cyrodiil, you'll just see how well it performs. Either whether you're playing it solo or if you're playing it in a group. Then for my ultimate, I run Swarming Scion, which boosts your stats by 10k each. It heals you for 16% of all the damage that you do, even when you're in mist form, and does AoE damage. You pop this and you suddenly become a tank. It's great again when you are outnumbered, there's a big group in front of you, and you just want to continue to pump out damage, taking out the weaker targets while healing yourself at the same time. Let's now look at my champion points. In the craft tree, I run Treasure Hunter, Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Steed's Blessings. Then in my warfare tree, I run Biting Aura for AoE damage, Duelist's Rebuff, Untamed Aggression, and Arcane Supremacy. Instead of Arcane Supremacy, if you want to, you can also run Master at Arms to increase your direct damage. Then in my fitness tree, I run Expert Evasion, Slippery, Rejuvenation, and Boundless Vitality. So here is my Magicka Templar PVP build updated for the Blackwood patch. Once again, if you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to write them in the comment section down below, and I'd be more than happy to help you. If you found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. God bless you all, and see you out there. Bye bye.